I'm Atlas, and I never thought the day my son was born would become the day I declared war on my own in-laws. But when you hear someone call your newborn baby's medical condition karma, something breaks inside you that can never be fixed. My wife Sarah and I had been married for 3 years. Our son Oliver was born with a congenital heart defect that required immediate surgery. While we were terrified and exhausted, holding our tiny baby in the NICU, Sarah's parents Linda and Richard showed their true colors. "This is what happens when you marry someone like him," Linda said to Sarah right in front of me, her voice dripping with disgust. "Excuse me?" I said, my hands shaking. "What did you just say?" "You heard me, Atlas," she replied, crossing her arms. "This baby's condition is karma. Sarah deserved better than you." Sarah looked at her mother in shock. "Mom, how can you say that about your own grandson?" "I'm just being honest," Linda continued. "You rushed into this marriage against our advice. Now look what's happened." Richard nodded along. "We told you he wasn't good enough for our family. Get out," I said quietly. "Get out of this hospital room right now." "Don't you dare speak to us that way," Richard stepped forward. "We have every right to be here." "Not anymore, you don't," Sarah said, her voice breaking. "Leave, now." They left, but Linda turned at the door. "We're not done here, Sarah. You'll realize we were right." Over the next week, Oliver had his surgery successfully, but my in-laws didn't stop. They called constantly, not to check on Oliver, but to convince Sarah to leave me. "Sarah, honey, you need to think about your future," Linda said during one call I overheard on speaker. "Can Atlas really provide for a sick child? You should come home." "Mom, I am home, with my husband and son," Sarah replied. "We're just worried about you making the right decisions," Richard added. "This situation is overwhelming. Maybe you're not thinking clearly." "I'm thinking perfectly clearly," Sarah said firmly. But then things got worse. 2 weeks after Oliver came home, we received a letter from Child Protective Services. Someone had filed a complaint claiming we were neglecting Oliver's medical needs and that I was financially unstable and emotionally abusive. "Sarah, what is this?" I asked, holding the letter with trembling hands. She read it and went pale. "This is insane. Who would do this?" "Your parents," I said immediately. "Who else would know these lies to tell?" The CPS worker, Miss Rodriguez, arrived the next day. She was professional but thorough. "I need to ask you both some questions," she said, sitting in our living room. "There's been a serious allegation made." "What exactly are we accused of?" Sarah asked. "The complaint states that Oliver's medical appointments have been missed, that there's domestic violence in the home, and that Mr. Atlas is preventing proper care due to financial constraints," Miss Rodriguez explained. "That's completely false," I said, pulling out my phone. "I have every single medical appointment documented, every bill paid. We followed every doctor's instruction perfectly." "I can see that," Miss Rodriguez said, reviewing our records. "The complaint also mentions substance abuse and an unsafe home environment." Sarah started crying. "This is harassment. My parents never wanted this marriage. They've been trying to break us apart since Oliver was born." After Miss Rodriguez left, confirming the allegations were baseless, I called my sister Jessica. "Jess, I need your help," I said. "Something's happening, and I think Sarah's parents are trying to destroy our family." "Tell me everything," she said immediately. I explained the hospital incident, the constant calls, and the CPS report. "Atlas, this is serious," Jessica said. "You need a lawyer, like yesterday." Jessica connected me with Marcus Chen, a family law attorney who specialized in grandparent rights cases and false accusations. "Atlas, Sarah, thank you for coming in," Marcus said as we sat in his office. "Tell me everything from the beginning." I laid out the timeline, starting with Linda and Richard's reaction at the hospital. "They called Oliver's condition karma," I explained. "Then they started this campaign to convince Sarah to leave me." "And you believe they filed the CPS complaint?" Marcus asked. "Who else would have this information to twist?" Sarah said. "They know about Atlas's past financial struggles from before we were married. They know our address, our routines, everything." "The problem is proving it," Marcus said. "However, here's what I suggest. Start documenting everything, every phone call, every text message, every interaction." "They mostly call," Sarah said. "Not text." "Then record the calls," Marcus advised. "You're in a one-party consent state, so you can legally record conversations you're part of." Over the next 3 weeks, we recorded every interaction. Linda and Richard didn't disappoint. "Sarah, we've consulted with our own attorney," Linda said during one recorded call. "There are options for grandparent custody when parents are unfit." I'm not unfit, Mom, Sarah said, her voice strained. We're doing everything right for Oliver. Are you, though? Richard interjected. Can you honestly say Atlas is capable of handling a special needs child? Oliver doesn't have special needs. He had surgery and he's recovering beautifully, Sarah replied. We're just saying we have rights too, Linda continued. Rights to see our grandson and protect him, if necessary. Protect him from what? Sarah demanded. From bad decisions, Linda said ominously. We'll do whatever it takes. I met with Marcus again, bringing all the recordings. This is good, Marcus said, listening. They're establishing a pattern of interference, but I want more. More how? Sarah asked. I have an investigator friend, David Park, Marcus said. He can look into whether your parents have been contacting other agencies or people in your life. David Park was a former police detective who now worked as a private investigator. I'll be honest with you, David said when we met. People like this usually don't stop at one report. They escalate. What should we look for? I asked. Check your credit, your medical records for any unauthorized access, talk to your neighbors, David suggested. I'll also put in some requests to see if there have been other complaints or inquiries about you two. 3 days later, David called me. Atlas, I found something, he said. Your mother-in-law called your health insurance company pretending to be Sarah, trying to get information about Oliver's coverage and your policy. That's fraud, I said immediately. Yes, it is, David confirmed. I have the call logs and the insurance company is willing to provide a statement, but there's more. She also contacted Oliver's pediatrician's office, again pretending to be Sarah, trying to change the contact information and get medical records sent to her address. She what? Sarah gasped when I told her. The office didn't release anything because they had verification protocols, David explained, but they documented the attempts. This is identity theft, Marcus said when we briefed him, plus harassment, filing a false CPS report, and possibly attempting to interfere with medical care. Can we prove she filed the CPS report? I asked. I filed the FOIA request, Marcus said, and I have a contact who might be able to help. Give me 2 more days. 2 days later, Marcus called us into his office with a determined expression. I got the CPS file, he said. The complaint was filed by phone, but the caller provided specific details that only someone close to you would know. More importantly, the phone number used was traced to a landline, your parents' home phone. We have them, I said, feeling vindication surge through me. We do, Marcus agreed. Now we're filing for a restraining order based on harassment, identity theft, and filing a false report. We'll also be filing a civil lawsuit for damages including emotional distress and legal fees. Will they face criminal charges? Sarah asked. I'm going to make sure the district attorney is aware of every law that's been broken, Marcus said firmly. The restraining order hearing arrived 2 weeks later. Linda and Richard sat across the courtroom with their attorney, Gerald Foster, both looking dismissive. Your Honor, this is a family misunderstanding, Gerald began. My clients are concerned grandparents who... Mr. Foster, Judge Patricia Morrison interrupted. I've reviewed the evidence packet. This goes far beyond concern. Marcus stood. Your Honor, I'd like to present our evidence. He played the recordings first. Listening to Linda call Oliver's condition karma made Sarah grip my hand tightly. These are loving grandparents? Marcus asked. Calling a baby's heart defect karma? Marcus then presented the evidence of Linda impersonating Sarah to the insurance company. Is this true, Mrs. Whitman? Judge Morrison asked Linda directly. Linda's face flushed. I just wanted to know if my grandson was being properly cared for. By committing identity fraud? The judge asked sharply. I didn't think of it that way, Linda stammered. Marcus presented the attempted medical record access and contact information changes. Your Honor, these defendants attempted to insert themselves into this child's medical care without parental consent, Marcus stated. But we have rights as grandparents, Richard spoke up, ignoring Gerald's hand, trying to quiet him. Actually, Mr. Whitman, you don't, Judge Morrison said. Not without proving the parents unfit, which brings us to the CPS complaint. Marcus presented the evidence linking the complaint to their home phone. You filed a false report claiming these parents were neglecting their infant, Marcus said. A report that was investigated and found completely baseless. We were concerned, Linda said weakly. Concerned enough to lie to a government agency? Marcus pressed. To claim domestic violence that doesn't exist? You weaponized a system meant to save real children in danger. That's not what Richard started. The phone records don't lie, Mr. Whitman. Marcus cut him off. Gerald stood. Your Honor, my clients may have been overzealous, but... Overzealous? Sarah suddenly stood up. They tried to destroy my family because they never approved of my husband. They used my son's medical condition as a weapon. Miss Whitman, please. Gerald tried to calm her. It's Mrs. Collins now, Sarah said firmly. These people are not my parents anymore. They lost that right when they attacked my child. Judge Morrison looked at Linda and Richard coldly. Do you have anything to say? Linda's facade cracked. We just wanted what was best for Sarah. He's not good enough for her. That's not your decision to make, Judge Morrison said. Mr. Chen, what are you requesting? A 5-year restraining order, Your Honor, Marcus said. No contact with the Collins family. We're also requesting the court refer this to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. Granted, Judge Morrison ruled. 5-year restraining order. Mr. and Mrs. Whitman, you are to have no contact with your daughter, son-in-law, or grandson. Violation will result in immediate arrest. I'm forwarding this file to the DA with a recommendation for prosecution. Gerald leaned over to Linda and Richard, whispering urgently. Richard shook his head stubbornly, but Linda looked terrified. Your Honor, Gerald stood. My clients would like to apologize. Too late for that, Judge Morrison said. This hearing is concluded. As we left the courtroom, Sarah squeezed my hand. It's finally over. Not quite, Marcus said. The criminal charges are next, but the hardest part is done. 3 months later, the district attorney filed criminal charges. Linda and Richard were charged with filing a false report, identity theft, and attempted fraud. Marcus called with the update. They're offering a plea deal. They admit guilt, pay your legal fees, and Linda does 60 days in county jail with 2 years probation. Richard gets probation and community service. What do you think? I asked Sarah. I think they deserve more, she said, but I'm done letting them take up space in our life. We accept the plea, I told Marcus, as long as the restraining order stays. It will, Marcus confirmed. The day Linda was sentenced, we stayed home with Oliver, who was thriving after his surgery. His doctors said he'd live a completely normal, healthy life. Jessica came over that afternoon. Your mother-in-law's arrest made the local paper. Good, Sarah said without hesitation. Maybe it'll make people think twice about weaponizing the system. How are you doing? Jessica asked me. I'm relieved, I admitted. For months I felt helpless, but we documented everything, hired the right people, and proved the truth. A week later, Linda's attorney called Marcus. My client wants to write a letter of apology, Gerald said. Marcus put him on speaker. What does she want in return? Nothing, Gerald said quietly. She's in jail, facing reality. She wants to apologize. We don't want her apology, Sarah said clearly. It doesn't change anything. Tell Mrs. Whitman the Collins family wants no contact, now or ever, Marcus told Gerald. After the call, Marcus looked at us. How does it feel? Like we can finally breathe, I said. For the first time since Oliver was born, I'm not looking over my shoulder. They can't hurt you anymore, Marcus confirmed. Sarah and I walked out hand in hand. Oliver was with Jessica, probably being spoiled. We'd been through something that should have destroyed us, but instead it made us stronger. I'm proud of us, Sarah said. We didn't let them break our family. We fought back the right way, I replied, with evidence, lawyers, and the law. My parents thought calling Oliver's condition karma was some judgment, Sarah reflected. But real karma is facing a judge who sees through your lies and sends you to jail. That night, with Oliver sleeping peacefully, I realized justice isn't about revenge. It's about protecting what matters and making sure those who hurt innocent people face consequences. Linda spent 60 days in jail. Richard completed 200 hours of community service. They paid our legal fees totaling over $15,000. More importantly, they were out of our lives permanently. People ask if I ever feel bad about what happened to them. I don't. They made their choices. They could have been loving grandparents during the scariest time of our lives. Instead, they chose cruelty, manipulation, and criminal behavior. Oliver is 2 years old now, healthy and happy. He'll never know his maternal grandparents. And that's their loss. He's surrounded by people who love him unconditionally. Me, Sarah, Jessica, and my parents who never left our side. Sarah still struggles sometimes with what her parents did, but she knows she made the right choice, protecting our family. That's what real love looks like, choosing the people who deserve you, not the people who hurt you. We learned that standing up for yourself isn't about getting even. It's about refusing to be broken by people who should have loved you. We gathered evidence, followed the law, and let the system work. And it did. Have you ever faced family members who tried to destroy your life because they disapproved of your choices? What would you have done in my situation? Like and subscribe for more stories about people who refused to be victims and fought back the right way.